All the fires of hell cannot stop Jesus reaching into hell and saving souls. He can't be stopped. So I just want to encourage you this week, because it's been discouraging a couple weeks for me, to be honest. I look at what's going on, and I just think, like, this is a bummer. This is disappointing. The amount of hatred and rage and the amount of closed ears, it's just discouraging. But we don't have to fall into that discouragement. We don't have to fall into trying to fix things with natural means, because we have the Holy Spirit, God's actual Spirit, the essence of who He is, has bonded Himself to your soul and now wants to work through your soul to fix this world, or at least to fix sinners. And guess what happens when you fix sinners? It fixes the world. I'm not saying that world peace is our hope per se. We can definitely love those things, but we can at least address it one person at a time, right? We can at least address it to the clerk we see at SIDS, or the people that we see along the road, or whoever we meet, right? Because we can love them. All right. Be encouraged, guys. God is not done. Acts chapter 8. So we've kind of been, as we've been going through Acts, there's been some interesting kind of comparisons to be made, right? We had, a few weeks ago, we had Stephen versus religion. Right? Remember, Stephen is just a person who's full of the Holy Spirit. He's serving Jesus. He's being honest about who he is. He's letting God work in his life. And then he ends up in kind of this, I don't want to minimize it to a showdown, but he's kind of attacked by religious leaders, people that look to the validity of a building and of a law that, while perfect, was, the Bible describes as passing away, that was never designed to bring righteousness to humanity. And he sits down and he shares with them. They hate him because of this idea of how salvation comes, that it comes through Christ, that it's available to anybody. And then from there, essentially they kill him. Even though they had the right religious law, they had the right place to practice it in the tabernacle and then in the temple, even though they had the right priesthood and everything was set up for them, instead of relying and looking to God, to Jehovah in their case, they relied and looked to their own obedience, their own selves to find righteousness. And in the end, that cost Stephen his life. Because religious righteousness can never stand before the righteousness which is by faith, and people will, and us, we will hate it. So Stephen, even though they look on his face and he has the face of an angel, I assume that means it was illuminating, that it was and somehow glowing. There was some association with his face to that of the ministers of heaven. And they look at him and they gnash their teeth. They have basically a full-blown mental and physical freak out. They're so angry. And they run out and they kill him, right? They stone him to death. That kind of stirs up this persecution that Paul is part of. And if we looked at last week, what we saw, it was basically Philip versus the persecution. So you have Stephen is slain. Philip is also one of the 7 chosen to be deacons, chosen to be people that, that's kind of inferred, but chosen to be a servant in the church. And that guy ends up also being full of the Holy Spirit, also yielding to God. And amidst this radical persecution, what do you see him doing? Running for his life and spreading the gospel. What a beautiful picture of the truth of the gospel and the effect that the gospel can have on our lives. That the very thing that's costing him his life, the very thing that's causing, because remember, Philip has a family. We read about it later. So he's not just by himself, but these Christians are just running for their lives. And the commentary is, as they're running through, away from Jerusalem, where this centralized persecution is, they're sharing the gospel. It's like literally like running away from these guys, trying not to get killed, saying like, no, really, I got to go out of Jerusalem, but check it out. Jesus is so legit. He's so worth it. This is what he did. I got to go. They're trying to kill me for that. And they're still spreading the word as they run away. And just talking about that, how did that happen? What causes a person to be willing to forsake everything in their life for the spreading of the gospel? Clearly, it's a value for the gospel. It's a value for it. Just like when any of us have any product that we like, when we have anything that, if you find some, I remember the day somebody exposed me to the OxyClean detergent, right? That stuff's amazing. And now you get it in like the little tube and it's got the little blue thing where you can like rub the stains and it kind of comes out, you know what I'm saying? So I just gave them an advertisement because it's an amazing product. Or Sahara Pizza. There's a million things that like when you really like something, they don't have to go and say, hey, would you mind sharing about this pizza or OxyClean or something like that. When you discover something that you really like and you really find it to be valuable, what do you do with that? You share it. And nobody tells you to share it, right? You just do because you're like, I care about you. I see you have spots on your clothes. Have you tried OxyClean? Right? Or however it goes down, right? But you have this, you're willing to do it. And so why bring it up that way? Is it to feel guilty or to feel bad about it? No, it's to be liberated from it. Because you cannot make yourself feel something for the gospel, can you? It's like trying to make yourself love something or somebody. That's not real. That's not how human beings work. We have to experience something, get to know something, and then we're willing to go forward in that. So the application from Philip isn't like, we better get out there and spread the gospel no matter what and like it. That's worthless. The application from Philip is, let's find what this guy found that caused the gospel to be his number one priority. And if it's not our number one priority, let's be honest about that as human beings and say, Lord, would you reveal yourself to me? Would you help me to understand what he saw? Lord, would you help me to have a reaction from my very soul that says there is nothing, even life, that is worth you? Because he's working, he's moving, he's building his church, he's doing those things. Those prayers don't fall on deaf ears. He has great things for us.